How was your Thanksgiving at Spurgeon's house, and how fun was that coming into tonight?
Я обожал, много еды сожрали.
It was great, but I ate a ton of food, and I felt extremely heavy today on the ice, but it worked out.
Was that your first American thing? That's the first time you
Yeah,
celebrated
yeah.
American Thanksgiving? Yeah.
What was your favorite?
What do you eat?
Food. Favorite food.
Все вообще, скажи, там много еды было.
I
Очень,
love everything.
очень. Сперж очень сильно, очень хорошо встречают дома.
He says that they host a great Thanksgiving. They have amazing food, so everything was amazing.
And that's right. With that, Kirill Kaprizov's review of Thanksgiving 2021, Judd's hockey show. It's Judd, it's Declan, it's the Wild in first place in the Central Division. And Declan will certainly talk about the fact that Kirill Kaprizov might have felt fat, but he certainly played well in a 7-1 win against the Jets. A very convincing win.
Yeah.
Lots to get to here. But let's start here because I feel like we've been, well, you've probably been more concerned or harder on this guy than I have. I would say that I've been probably, in fairness, lukewarm. So like we're both not completely sold here. But let's start with the play of Cam Talbot, who has won the past 2 games. To his credit, has been fantastic. So the Wild, to go back to Thanksgiving Eve, Wednesday night, the Wild wins 3-2 in a shootout against the Devils, in which they give up a 2-1 lead late.
And wasn't it a 2-0 lead at one point?
I believe it was. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But they gave up the lead late in the third period. The Devils scored right before regulation time came to an end. And then thanks to a Fiala goal, they won it in a shootout. But long story short, Cam Talbot in that game faced 33 shots during the course of the game and stopped 31. And last night, now it was 7-1. So like that score is like, well, of course, it's an easy win, right?
Right.
Last night he faced 31 shots, but the most important thing was, I thought, and where he deserves credit, the first period. He faced 14 shots, stopped them all. The Wild had 9 shots, scored 2 goals. So after a period of play, it was 2-0 for the Wild. And Cam Talbot really sort of, to his credit, I guess, set a tone.
Sure.
And so like these last 2 games have definitely been impressive and exactly what you want from a goaltending standpoint. And Talbot deserves credit for that, because I think we've all been like, well, he's got what, 11 wins now. Yeah, he's playing okay, but there could be more. He could do this. The stats aren't great. What's your feeling on Talbot's play now? And yes, it's just 2 games, so it's not like season, but just your feeling on Talbot's play at this point right now.
Well, I will say the last probably 4 or 5 games, he's looked very, very strong. He's looks a little bit more comfortable out there. His analytics have risen back up. So typically, or there's a good stat called goals saved above expected. So basically, it's a goal that from normal shooting percentage range that normal goalies should stop, basically. And through the majority of the first 12, 15 games, Cam Talbot ranked near the bottom, meaning he was allowing in soft goals. He was allowing in goals that most goaltenders would stop. Over the last 4 or 5 games, he has actually risen back up to 22nd now, and his goals saved above expected is neutral. It's 0. So before it was negative, which means he was allowing about 1 to 2 more goals than he should have been allowing over a 60-minute stretch. So basically over a game, he was allowing about a goal he shouldn't be allowing. Now, throughout the course of the last 4 or 5 games, he's risen that number to above 0, which means he's stopping all the pucks he should be stopping. Is he stopping them above expected? That's where, you know, guys like Bob is off to a great start this year. Jack Campbell, Igor, Frederick Anderson, those guys are playing very, very well, and they're stopping the shots even above the expected rate. Right now, Cam is 0 and neutral. And honestly, that, I think, is the baseline of what you can ask for from Cam. If he starts dipping below that, when he starts looking shaky, which is what we saw in the first 10 or 12 games, that's cause for concern. If he's playing the way he has played over the last 5 games, and I think your point yesterday about, I mean, the route of the Jets, the headline story is they won 7-1. The offense was great, and we'll get into that in a second. But that Jets is a damn good team, and they're scary when they fly up and down the ice. And if it wasn't for Cam's first period performance, to your point, The Wild probably are out of that game right from the get-go, and those cardiac kids can't always mount a comeback. So I think what Cam Talbot has done over the last 5-6 games is really telling and a good sign. I think my fear is because he's playing so well, they continue to ride him super hot when they still got to figure out ways to get Capo in more.
That's probably true. Yeah, and there's going to be games, and we saw this in the back-to-back games against the Panthers and Tampa on last Saturday and Sunday, when you're just going to have back-to-back games and have to play Capo. But I tend to agree. I think that I think in the course of a season this long, you do need to get to a point where you have not a rotation, because it's not going to be that, but where you have an idea of probably playing the backup a little bit more. But I do think it's important. See, Cam Talbot's tough for me because when it comes to his stats in the eye test, they don't necessarily meld. Like, there have been times I thought he's playing okay. Yeah. And then the stats really say, nah, not so much. He's not playing as well as you think.
Yes.
So I think to what you're saying, Dex, the last 3, 4, 5 games have done a pretty good job of saying the eye test says he's playing pretty well, and then the stats do too. Because he's a tough one. There were flat out times earlier this year, and I don't know if I was being sold by Dean or what, because Cam would have good stretches in those games, but he probably wouldn't have as strong a game as they wanted, where I thought he played pretty well. And then you'd look and you'd be like, well, he didn't play as well as I thought. So I think if we can get those to meld together more consistently, it's going to be a more comfortable feeling about how Cam Talbot is playing.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're right that eye test wise, he's getting wins, right? I mean, he's winning the majority of his stats, but that wins for goaltenders is basically the same stat as wins for starting pitchers. It's indicative on the players in front of you. You could be, someone like Glenn Perkins 13, 14 years ago when he came up with the Twins, who has 8 wins in his first 12 starts with ZRAs in year 5. You don't want to get into a situation like that. So I think in general what Cam Talbot's been able to do over these last few games is very, very telling. He's a goaltender that you can 100% ride and get hot. I thought he played great down the stretch in Vegas. I had no problem with how he played in that playoff series. In fact, I think he had 2 shutouts in 7 games. That's more than you can ask for in a playoff series against a team like that. But in general, I think my biggest takeaways just from the last few games and this recent win streak is that Cam Talbot has finally stabilized things, and it's a good thing to come.
All right, topic 2 off the win against the Jets, and more so just of late. But so they did something again yesterday that impressed me. They definitely had a game the night before Thanksgiving against the Devils where they let down. They didn't play a terrible game, but they certainly did not play their best. And what impressed me yesterday was that Black Friday game, which is traditional here, and which I like. But
yeah, I like them too.
But the thing about that game is, how many times have we seen the Wild lay a complete egg in that game? And it's clear that they had fun, ate a lot, as Kaprizov talked about, and they come out and they play terrible. I want to say it was a game against the Jets a few years ago. They did exactly that. I want to say there was a game against Pittsburgh at one time. They did that, and they just completely stunk. And the game was boring and lethargic, and they did not apply themselves one bit. What I loved about the performance yesterday was twofold. One is they played damn well. Like, they came out and played well. The other thing that I loved was the fact that because that's been the type of game so often where, because the Jets aren't playing well now. The Jets are struggling. The Jets are going to come back, I think, and probably be fine. But right now, they're not playing great. Mm-hmm. That's the typical game, Dex, where you play down to your opponent. So like, it's like, well, they're not playing well. Are we really playing well? Nah, shucks. Let's just try and win. And it's a bad game. I give the Wild a ton of credit because throughout the course of that game, they dictated and took the play to an opponent who is struggling, which is exactly what I've always harped on you should do. Hockey seems to be one sport, and I don't know if this is true, but it just from watching the sport for years, it seems to be one sport where you have what should be good teams play down to their opponents more than any sport. It's like, what are you doing? Like, take
Yeah.
it to them. Yesterday, the Wild did exactly that, and in an afternoon game where they are so often not good,
Yep.
they played great. That to me, like, it is a no duh. Yeah, of course they're supposed to, but
Right.
no. We've seen this movie enough to say that's a really good sign for this team.
Yeah, I think it was very impressive. Even on as our YouTube commenters are commenting right now, the Wild were buzzing last night. I agree. I think they were flying up and down the ice. Look, doesn't that Thanksgiving turkey, that Trepadane, and all that fun alcohol you can get into, tryptophan,
Yeah,
you can get into the night before can really slow you down. Hey, I know it really, really well. Having a little bit too much fun and trying to go back out on Friday, right? But in general, I thought the way the Wild played was very, very impressive, and for them to. Yeah, the Jets are on a bit of a snide right now, but I do think when they are on, they're one of the best offensive teams in the league. They can fly up and down the ice. So the fact they didn't play down to them, the fact the Wild are still in first place, and even though, and I'll bring up I'll bring up a little graphic here just to show how all encompassing they've played here. Through their first 20 plus games, because we're hit that Thanksgiving mark, Judd, and as we've talked about, if you're in that top 8 around Thanksgiving time, usually it's about a 75% lock that you're going to be in the postseason come springtime. So the fact the Wild are in the driver's seat here is incredibly impressive, especially when you consider just the lapses that have happened this season, with Kirill getting off to a slow start, but now he's red hot. We'll get into him in just a bit. Fiala's been up and down, but still hasn't been scoring a ton. Talbot had a shaky start, as we talked about in the first 10 minutes of this show. The special teams is still not perfect and shouldn't be as struggling as it is. But in general, this team has still found ways to win. And with hockey, I think that says a lot about the team and what they believe in one another. And that's, again, Bill Guerin and Dean Evason's testament to cleaning out that locker room and building out a new one and giving voices, giving those other players voices in that locker room. And I think it's been very, very impressive what they've been able to do this season.
I knew that the moves that Guerin made last July would have an impact, but I'd be lying if I said that I knew it would be this much.
Right.
The absence of, and make no mistake, they're not going to talk about it now, but it's the key, or it's a key, I should say. The absence of Parise and Suter from that locker room, Declan, is just so huge. Like you watch this team, and it doesn't even resemble, in some ways, the previous teams.
Right.
Like, it's incredible. It's incredible. And to be fair, this does not mean that they're great on a nightly basis. So I'm not saying, oh my God, they got rid of these two guys and they've become the 1977 Canadians. I'm not saying that at all. But just watch the little things that this team does. Just watch how I'll give you a prime example, because this guy's not as good as Suter, but he's a better replacement.
Okay.
Goligoski.
Yes.
Goligoski's fantastic. And you know what? I bet if you went to just a GM and said you can have one of these two, they're going to take Suits probably.
Right.
Probably, right?
Yeah.
But Goligoski and what he brings, and here's the other incredible thing. And like, this is a small thing, but it's huge. Think about this one. So Spurgeon's hurt. John Merrill is playing on the top pairing. John Merrill, who scored a goal against the Jets, is playing on the top pairing with Goligoski. Think about that for a second.
Yep.
Ryan Suter would have called his shot right there. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to put a lot of money on the fact that if Ryan Suter and Spurgeon were paired, which they were because Ryan demanded it, and Spurgeon got hurt, do you think if the coach, if Mike Yo or Boudreau or Torch had gone to Suits and said, all right, dude, John Merrill, time for you, that he's going to be like, oh, fantastic. Heck no. Like, and that's such a small thing on the surface, but it's a huge thing. It's how this team has evolved, how it has changed, that you could put, like, I wouldn't even think of that one. John Merrill. Let's bump him from the third pairing with Kulikov and let's put him with the top defensive pairing. I would have never thought of that in 1,000 years because I'm so conditioned to believe that's not possible here. Like, it's stuff like that's just so interesting to me as far as the changes here.
Yeah, it's definitely a changing of the guard, and it's definitely a team that just feels a lot different, a lot faster than they were before. And it's weird and unfortunate that you had to buy them out to basically get that and put yourself in a salary cap hell, which they'll be in for the next few seasons after this one. But I think it's worth it. I think it's worth having bogged down money and paying players not to play for you at this point, specifically those two players, because it wasn't worth it anymore. And would we go back and do those contracts again? Yeah, we probably would. But at the same time, now that guys like John Merrill are stepping in and playing well, Alex Goligoski, I see what you did there, has been playing phenomenally in Suter's absence for a 1-year contract. And if he wants to come back again next year on maybe a lesser term, even better. He turned down other money because he wanted to come back, and it worked out really well for him, and he's been phenomenal for them. So I think in general, just other players stepping up in this team. Brandon Duheim, like who the hell saw? We were thinking he shouldn't even make this team. It should go to one of these hotter young rookies that should deserve a chance. He's been so consistent and great for this team. So Ryan Hartman, for God's sakes, just continues to score big-time goals and might be the best bargain in the NHL at this point.
He took a pay cut to stay here, and he's got what now? 10 goals?
10,
11 goals?
On pace for 40 something.
Last night.
Yeah,
he's got 11. He's got 11 goals, and he is centering the Kaprizov line.
Yeah, so just other players that have stepped up for this team when Kaprizov, Fiala goaltending hasn't worked out, this team still found ways to win, and I think it's really impressive.
Yeah, and you have now the freedom for the coach to coach. And Dean's done a great job. Dean's really good. Like, Dean is, I had no idea that he was going to be this good of coach, but yeah, he is the freedom to coach. And guess what, Dex? Matthew Boldy's coming. Like, he's been hot. He stepped right back in. This guy is Matthew Boldy. Rossi, we could probably debate. Boldy is ready to play here. Like, it's going to be soon. And you know what the nice thing is? There's a spot for him. Because the guy that loses his job is not going to be a problem. He's going to lose his job.
Right.
And I'm going to tell you right now, and I know that he's played better of late and he's up and down, but I'm not convinced that Jordan Greenway is completely safe. I agree. I think Matthew Boldy's a better version of Greenway. And I said that I'm guilty of saying this before because I used to say I think that Greenway is going to be a bit better Charlie Coyle. So we'll see. But Matthew Boldy's coming. And when he gets here, he's going to play. And imagine the hijinks and problems, Dex, that would have caused previous. Well, whose spot's he going to take? It is Parise and Suter. Are they going to approve? And how's Eric Stahl going to feel? And is Mikko going to allow that? You know, I mean, you think about the machinations that drove us crazy that we had to go through for like, hey, can this young player play here? Like it was for lack of a better way to explain it, it was almost its own form of locker room hazing. Yeah. Like, I don't know if that guy can play here. I don't. If Bill Guerin and Dino now say, you know what, Boldy is coming up and he's going to play, ain't nobody gonna get in the way of that one. Okay. Comment there. Brady says Boldy could replace Bjugstad. I'm gonna go on the record right now. I like what Bjugstad brings.
Me too.
And by the and he's not a top 6 guy. Greenway is. Greenway should be. That's what that's why I say I wonder if Greenway's in trouble because Bjugstad on that fourth line, 1, it's got some speed, which I love. But 2, they do exactly what you want, right? Sturm, Duheim, Bjugstad, they give you exactly what you want, which is they give you some speed and they work their asses off.
100%.
And I appreciate that. Boldy to me is a top 6 guy, so I'm trying to find a top 6. I'm trying to find a top 6 wing position for him, or at least a top 9. I don't want him on my 4th line to start with.
Yeah, I would rather have him playing in a top 6 role. And yeah, I like Nick Bjugstad. I kind of was confused why he was getting scratched for Victor Rask, last week and a few games ago. I don't think Nick Bjugstad's going to be the top 6 guy he was when he first came to the league, but he's got a nice career as a bottom 6 forward, 100%. Yep. And I think he should play more. So I agree. If Boldy's going to come up here, he's got to get in, fit in a top 6, which I think he can. And yeah, Jordan Greenway, I was on the fence on it going into the season. I still haven't seen anything. He's had nights where he tries hard and he skates hard and he moves his feet, but in general, I'm just out there. I'm out on Jordan Greenway.
Well, there's your replacement right there for him.
Right, it's Matthew Boldy.
That's simple. Okay, let's talk about Kirill Kaprizov, who has gone from being not living up to expectations, because statistically he wasn't bad, to being absolutely on fire. But before we do that, I want to tell you about my friends at Livia Weight Control Centers. They've helped me drop 26 pounds, Dex, and now they can help, well, not you, but
Not
they
me.
can help you out there who are saying, I'd like to drop weight and I'd like to do it with a deal. I got a Black Friday savings deal that started yesterday from my friends. Save 50% off the program. That's right, 50% off the program. First visit is free, 855-GO-LIVEA, or visit Livia, Livea.com, Livia.com, 855-GO-LIVEA. First visit is free, and you heard me right, 50% off the program. Give them a call or check out the website and tell them Score North and Judd sent you. All right, Kirill Kaprizov.
Yep.
A goal, 3 assists, and I'm going to say the most important thing here, and this is from the outset of that game, and it has nothing to do with the stats, or I should say the goals and the assists. I noticed him from beginning to end. Like, he was back to being all over the ice. He was making plays. I don't mind if he passes, if he's not trying to be cute.
Yep.
And if he's not trying to pass. And the rest of the time, I'm like, my God, he took a shift and I barely saw him. I felt like yesterday was a Kirill game in the fact that when he's going well, your eyes go to him.
Yep. That's who he is.
And look, I think the stats are back.
Yep.
I think he's back. And I don't know if it was the weight of the contract. I don't know if it was exactly what it was. And the whole excuse of, well, you have to understand, teams are paying attention now. Okay, they were last year too. So just stop with that, okay? And by the way, the Jets were paying attention. It's not like the Jets didn't care. It's not like the Jets were like, let's not defend 97 and take our chances, okay? So let's stop with this whole Justin Jefferson's covered. You can't throw to him, or Kirill Kaprizov's just being shut down. No, superstars overcome those things.
Right.
Kirill Kaprizov yesterday put on the type of display that I want to see consistently, and I do feel, in fairness to him, like we are seeing Declan Goff way more and more now.
Yeah, he's been phenomenal. As Andrew says in our YouTube comments here, that Kaprizov looks like himself again. I believe he was playing injured. I don't think he was playing injured. I know he took that nasty hit against the Jets like the third game into the season where he had crashed awkwardly into the boards. I just think he was pressing a bit. And in general, he looks more like the player he was. Analytically, he's still playing very well. He's shooting a ton. He's starting in the offensive zone. His Corsi is almost 60%, meaning when he's on the ice, his team is out-possessing, out-shooting the other team. Yep. His expected goals for is down. So like where he's shooting the puck on the ice, he's not converting at the same rate that he was last season. That is down. Mm-hmm. But if he's having 4-point nights and he's putting 6 shots on goal, which is I believe what he had again last night, you can't really ask much more for that. And in general, I think more of those goals will come. And he just seems like a guy too, as much as we want to have players be selfish more. I like Kevin Fiala because he's selfish and he shoots the puck a lot. I like when Matt Zuccarello doesn't take a pass up, who had 2 goals last night. He takes a shot. I want him to be a little bit more aggressive, but in general, I can't complain when the guy has 22 points in 20 games and over the last 10 games has been, nearly a 2-point-a-game player. So it seems like he's finally back. He's off that snide, and it was totally okay to have questions and have a little bit of cause for concern when he got off to the slow start. No.
You guys didn't believe.
Yeah, you didn't believe.
That's not allowed.
You guys just clicked.
That's not allowed to question.
You can't do that.
He's got a lot of pressure on him, okay?
No.
There's a lot of guys who are trying to slow him down. You just don't understand hockey. You don't understand.
From Russia with love, basically.
Look at
from
that.
Russia.
Hello from Russia.
And hello from Russia. The Wild team is
Thank
the future because of the next 3 years, we have $40 million for Parise and Suter. Meaning the dead cap hits, I think, is basically what he's trying to allude there. But to Kirill, he's been great. 20 games, he's shooting the puck a lot, and he looks more like himself. I've been very impressed.
Yep, and back-to-back home games now with 7 goals scored by the Wild in each, and Kirill in each game. Dallas and then the Jets yesterday, a goal and 3 assists, and he's been great. Now Zuccarello did go out after getting slashed on the hand late in the second period. According to Dean, he could have come back, and because the score was so one-sided, he didn't. And it sounds like he is going to be, if this is to be believed, and it's hockey, so I think it is, but I'm not positive. It sounds like he's going to be good to go for the game on Sunday, Dex. Kirill said through his interpreter, he said it's a finger. So it's not like, it sounds like it's not the hand, it's the finger, which is not great, but I think you could probably tape that up more so than if you break a small bone in the back of your hand. I want to wrap up with a couple things for you.
Okay.
The first one is the loss of Spurgeon. I am absolutely astounded it has not been more, how can I put this right, resounding. I'm absolutely astounded that this team has carried on this well. Yeah. Like, you've taken John Merrill, you've taken Jamie Benn from the press box. I've got my right Ben there. Now. Jordy Ben.
Ben. I wish it was Jamie Ben. That'd be great.
I keep saying Jamie.
Jordy.
You take Jordy Ben, who I believe had played 1 game up until Spurgeon got hurt. You take him from the press box. You call up Addison, but he's not playing, which I really don't like.
Yeah, I don't like that.
I'd like him to be playing, or just don't be here.
Correct.
Just like call up a Slappy. But I am amazed that this team, to me, without what I think everyone basically says is their best defenseman, it's probably a competition between Spurge and Brodin.
Yep.
But I am really impressed that this team has not missed a beat and still looks good. Yeah. And, taking John Merrill and just like being like, we're going to promote you and we're going to be absolutely fine. Mm-hmm. Wow. That's again something, if the old Wild lost a player like this, that didn't happen.
Yeah, I think it's a testament to just how good this defense is. And I told you I was going to show you a little chart here from my guy, Jay Fresh Hockey, who does a great job with hockey analytics. And he comes out with these team cards now, which basically rank all the major statistics. And I'll show it up here for our YouTube audience, and I'll explain for our audio audience. So right now, league rank, the Wild are 9th. They're the 9th best team according to his analytics. And you'll see division rank number 1 up there in the top right. But then the numbers at the bottom, the GF, goals for, the goals allowed 22nd, the goal for percentage and 7th, the power play 23. These are all rankings 1 through 31, basically. So to explain from left to right for our audio audience, the Wild are 4th in goals. They're 22nd in goals allowed. They're 7th in goals for percentage, which means from the spots they're shooting on the ice, they're converting at a nice rate, and they're scoring goals they should be. Mm-hmm. Their power play is 23rd. You don't like that. I think a very important stat for a team that has aspirations to being damn good is finishing. So finishing in front of the net, the Wild are 3rd. So when the Wild are in high danger situations and they need to clean up a garbage goal, they are 3rd in the league in the NHL right now, basically. So they're doing a very, very good job at finishing in front of the net. The areas that are cause for concern, as you can see in the bottom of that, is your goalie. Your goalie is 23rd. Basically, your goaltending. You can't even just call it Cam Talbot. Your goaltending has been 23rd in the NHL.
That's what's interesting, yeah.
And for a team that looks this damn good, number 1 in your division, a top 10 team in the NHL, to have goaltending basically playing below league average is potentially dangerous. There could be significant regression coming. But in general, they're not allowing a lot of goals, so the defense is helping them out a ton. If the Wild did not have good defense, this team would be bad. I think that's just fair to say. If the defense on this team was putrid, this would be a bad hockey team.
And that's system them out.
Yep.
Like they're
totally
like
system.
They are flat out well coached.
Yeah, so their offense is good. They're converting at high ranks. Their special teams is meh. Their power play is 23rd, penalty kills 20th. That's the funny thing, their special teams and goaltending have been below league average, and yet they're a top 10 team.
That's really interesting. Mm-hmm. How is the power? I don't understand the power play. I don't understand how it's not better. It's that top group has talent. I don't get it. I don't get if it's a center missing in the equation. I just don't understand it. Like when you have Kaprizov and Fiala together, mm-hmm. and you're up Skaters wise, 5-on-4. The Talbot thing to me is not incredible. Like I feel like he's playing better than the stats say, but I'm not floored by that. I cannot explain to you how the power play, and especially that first grouping, is not more successful. It feels like they should be 100%.
They should be. They should be a lot better, but I don't know what the hell to do about it. I wish they'd be better.
All right, let's wrap with a reckless speculation. I don't
Okay.
think that we got to this the last show that we did, and so let's get to it now. Strong rumblings about 5 days ago or so, 4 or 5 days back. The Vancouver Canucks are a mess. The Canucks are absolutely a mess. I think they're going to make a coaching change. Their GM might be fired. I don't know, but they are just melting down on a daily basis. What came out about 4 or 5 days ago was center JT Miller was possibly on the move, and it seems like he's working very hard to get out. Like
Yes.
He's calling teammates out. He's complaining in practice. At one point, I think in a practice 2 days ago, saying we don't know what we're doing. He wants out. The Wild was tied in. The rumor was Kevin Fiala, at which point then more people kicked in with, well, it's going to cost more than Fiala. It's probably going to be Fiala. I saw Dumba. I saw lots of things.
Yep.
Here's my 2 cents. So about the same time, Declan, the Fiala thing felt weird. I'm not going to lie. Like the whole thing with Dean and Fiala, it's a very interesting relationship. Dean clearly feels a great freedom to come down on Kevin a lot. And he's almost like a son. Like he is harder. Yeah. I think he's harder on Kevin than any player. Yeah. And it goes back to their time together in the AHL when both were employed by the Preds franchise working in Milwaukee. So it felt weird, but I will say this. One is, I think it's hard to put a lot of stock in how Dean is treating Kevin because it's so much different than how like Dean would treat Kirill or Dean would treat basically, Bro Dean. Dumba too. I mean, guys like that don't seem to have the same relationship with Dean. So one, I would say that as weird as it gets at times, it's really hard to judge. The other is, I would say this. I don't see Bill Guerin trading Fiala and more assets to the Canucks.
No.
If he wanted a center as bad as we did, and I mean, he has come on this show and basically said, slow your roll, shut up, which is great.
Yeah,
I love it.
I love it too.
But I mean, he basically was like, all you people do is talk about centers. Just stop with it. If he had truly wanted one, the play of this group now, which has not been terrible. The play of this group now is not like surprising him, and he's like, "Oh my God, I was wrong." Right. So if he was going to get one, he would have got one in the summer, and he might get one at the deadline. But I don't think he's going to package Fiala and like Dumba and a draft. He's not going down that path. So I would say for now, Fiala's completely safe here. That doesn't mean that he won't be moved, because I think that day could come. But I think we probably, including me, jumped the gun on being, oh my God, Dean's mad at Kevin, and that's going to be that. I think the way that Dean pushes Kevin's buttons is intriguing, including this one yesterday. Zuccarello gets hurt, third period.
Yep.
Basically a blowout game. Kevin Fiala double shifted almost the entire period, and it was fun to watch because he like started playing pond hockey. Yeah, he loves it. He could skate. He was playing like he was trying to make cool plays.
Right.
So I'm guessing right now we probably should slow our expectation of a potential Fiala trade.
I'm actually going to disagree with you and say he is not completely safe. I think with the way this team views him, and if his trade value continues to rise and Bill Guerin can see an opportunity to improve this club to what you are saying in the long run, and eventually he'll make the move to do that if he feels it's necessary. Sure. I would not say he's completely safe. I feel like if this Vancouver situation starts rumbling more, and I believe the original report was Fiala as the main piece and a mid-round pick as kind of a sweetener, so like a second or third round pick. I personally, if that trade was, if I'm Bill Guerin and Vancouver calls me up, I want Kevin Fiala and a second-round pick right now. We'll give you JT Miller. I think I make that trade right now. And that's coming from someone who loves Kevin Fiala. I think they would make that trade if it can improve their club and they feel like it's necessary.
Interesting.
I think Billy's vetting of the situation, too, in Vancouver from an outsider's perspective is important here. We've known that Bill Guerin has, as a player and as an executive, is not going to pull a Fletcher, right? He's just not going to make a trade for the sake of it. If it benefits the team, he'll do it. And I feel like if he thinks JT Miller is a benefit to this team, and if Matthew Boldy and Marco Rossi, whoever you want, even Adam Beckman, if one of those guys wants to come up and plug and play to a lesser degree what Kevin Fiala brings, he would do that. I just think there's a lot of ammunition to make that trade happen. Is it likely? And I know I said that I don't think he's completely safe. Is it likely? It's probably at 25% tops of happening, and you may even say that's too high. But in general, I don't think he's completely safe. I think if he sees an opportunity to fit and improve this team, he's going to make that trade.
That's probably true. Yeah, I just don't know how much he would put into the pot to sweeten it. That's my question.
Yeah, I think
the Canucks are going to ask for more than we thought.
Yep, and I think in general too, that's going to be a cash in, cash out trade. And JT Miller's got a nice contract. He has $5 million through next season, so he's not a UFA after this year. So basically, it would buy you time to have a nice top six center for the next year and a half. So there's a lot of good reasons to potentially make that trade if Bill Guerin feels like it's necessary. Even though I'll be crying tears of joy when 22 leaves this town.
Yeah, I wonder if it'd be more of a deadline.
Maybe.
Deal perhaps too. The thing that keeps coming back to me is how much Bill Guerin, who runs the team, disagreed with us and I think some fans about the status of that position group. Like, we were like, Bill, you don't have a number one and it's really not that good. And he was very, like, I don't think it was BS. He was adamant that we were wrong.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't know. But I mean, he was outspoken. He said, "Would you quit talking about that?"
Yeah,
I think his
awesome.
exact words on the show were, "You need to stop talking about that. Stop asking me about that."
That was great.
And I don't think he was bluffing. I think he was serious.
Yeah.
And now there might be regression to come, but the other interesting side note to this entire thing is, if the Wild's convinced that this is a semblance of the real Ryan Hartman, in their mind, they're going to be like, we sort of got our guy.
Yes.
And we're going to be like, do you really? And they're going to be like, no, we sort of got our guy. So yeah. And the last thing is too, and this is the one thing where I guess I trust them more than us because it's where they would have a feel. And so far they've done a bang up job, chemistry.
Yep.
Like that's one thing you plop people into locker rooms and
Correct.
Especially in this sport. This ain't baseball where it's like, hey, this guy's sort of a jerk.
Here's your five hitter. You have a new,
but he can hit,
on the
but
middle
yeah,
line.
right.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying chemistry is not important in baseball because, in 2019 with the Twins and Cruz, we certainly saw that it is important. But hockey's a one sport, man, where if you plop the wrong guy in, things can go sideways and it's a problem. And people will say, oh, shut up. The guy can just play. It's not how it works. Ryan Suter could really play.
Yeah, not for hockey.
So, all right. Final thoughts from you. We do have Wild and Lightning tomorrow at 1. I would urge the National Hockey League and the franchise itself to balk at 1:00 games on Sunday. You're getting in the way of my football. I think
during NFL season at least.
Oh yeah.
After February 15th, put as many 1:00 games to the end of the season.
I love the afternoon tilts.
Yeah.
The afternoon tilts are great. Play them on Saturdays.
I
more
agree.
So, not Sundays.
I love the matinee Saturday hockey. I think it's
I think it's great.
Yeah,
Boston
has evening. Yeah.
Boston plays a ton of them. It's absolutely fantastic. But yeah, let's try and do a show probably Monday.
Yeah. Monday or Sunday night or something. Yeah, we'll figure out something.
Look back at the Lightning game, and this is fun. Hopefully it continues. This is going to be this. As I said before, the key here is we need the Wild to make a long run because we ain't going to have baseball. And if we do, the team's not that good. No. So anyway, take it away, Dex.
Yep. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button for consistent Minnesota Wild coverage right here on our Score North YouTube channel. It's Mackie and Judd. My name's Declan Goff. We provide Timberwolves coverage, Vikings coverage, Twins coverage sometimes, Minnesota Wild coverage, Purple Daily. is where you can find our devoted Minnesota Vikings coverage. That's where Ventline will be happening the moment after they play the Niners tomorrow. Big tilt in Santa Clara. So if you're a football fan, you want to get in some vents, shoot me an email, vikingsventline@gmail.com. I'll put you in queue. But yeah, hit the subscribe button for other Minnesota Wild and Minnesota sports conversation right here. We're almost at 10,000 subscribers.
Oh,
which is
get us there. Let's do it.
mind-blowing to me because we started this channel like a year ago this time from 0.
Thank you.
And we're almost at 10K. So please hit that subscribe button. Help us get to 10,000 subscribers, and we will, in return, give you Minnesota sports content basically at a daily rate. So that's what I got.
Yeah, no, but you forgot your phrase.
Oh, right. Pass, shoot, score.
Bye.